So I get asked all the time, is it better to start with Facebook ads or Instagram influencers for Shopify dropshipping? Today, let's go ahead and dive into that. What's going on, y'all? I'm Braden Wuerch. I'm here to provide insane value to you guys every day to grow you personally and financially as well. All right, guys, so literally one of the most popular questions I get all the time is which marketing platform should someone start with for Shopify dropshipping? They want to know, what's the most efficient, what's going to be the cheapest, everything like that. So today I actually want to dive into the computer and go over not only Instagram influencers and Facebook ads, but also Google AdWords. Those are definitely the three most popular marketing platforms for Shopify dropshipping, at least right now. And then after we go ahead and we cover everything having to do with those, I want to go ahead and give you my opinion on if I was to start over today, which would I go with and how would I go about doing that. But before we get into it, make sure to go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm here for you guys every day to help you grow your businesses to successful numbers. All right, guys, let's get into it. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and start with Instagram influencers. So when we're referring to Instagram, we're obviously not referring to Facebook ads on the Instagram platform. We're referring to actually doing an influencer shout out. So back when I started, Instagram influencers, everybody was swarming to them. This is what pretty much everybody started with and essentially started making money with. I happened to actually go the Facebook route first, and then I went into influencers, but this has always been popular. This has been popular for a long time. So if you don't know what Instagram influencer shoutouts are, essentially you're going to go ahead and you're going to find an influencer page, and an influencer, essentially, you're going to go ahead and pay them to do a shout out for your store, your product, and then they're going to use their influence to go ahead, drive traffic to your store and essentially sales. Why it works so great is because you could technically have a product that's not amazing, not a winning product, and it ends up, selling because they have influence over their followers. So that's why this can be very, very powerful. But let's go ahead and cover the pros and cons. So first, if done right, this can be the cheapest route. And this is why a lot of people swarm to Instagram influencers right off the bat, is because, if they've got a very, very low budget, they're wanting to go ahead and, build up their budget with the cheapest option. Also, if done right, you can get very quick results. I would say the quickest results out of any of these methods, if you go ahead and you find the right influencer and you know what you're doing, you do this right, you can have, the cheapest results and essentially the quickest right off the bat. Now the problem, and this is, growing and growing and growing, getting more and more, is that there's more and more scams. Back in the day, yes, there were still scams, but there weren't near as many. Now people have caught on that people are using influencer shoutouts. So essentially they're creating these big pages that have terrible engagement, everything like that, and they're scamming people out of their money. So you definitely need to be very careful. Now, the problem with Instagram influencers, and what I'm seeing a lot lately, is that people aren't doing the right type of research, or they're not doing the research at all. They're just finding big pages, ones that they actually think have good engagement, but then essentially they're losing a lot of money going this route when they could have saved money if they went with another route. So those are just definitely things to think about. But this, if done right, can be the cheapest and the quickest for initial sales. So now for Facebook ads. So this can be the cheapest, or it can be the most expensive. If done right, and if you really, really know what you're doing with Facebook ads, this can be cheaper and more effective, more efficient than influencers. On the flip side, if someone doesn't know what they're doing, this can definitely be the most expensive. So this is where, it's definitely a toss-up. You need to know what you're doing with Facebook ads. And this goes into the second point, that this is typically the most challenging for most people. Not all the time, some people just get the hang of Facebook ads really quickly, but from what I've seen, my experience with other people is that this is typically the most challenging on, how to actually make Facebook ads very successful and everything like that. Now, if you follow a great plan, a great strategy, you know what you're doing, then this can be amazing. The reason why Facebook ads can be so amazing and can technically be the most efficient and effective is because it can be the quickest to scale. The reason this is if you really know how to actually go about scale horizontally, scale vertically, you find decent and winning products with it, everything like that, You can literally go from having a $100 a day to having a $5,000 a day within a month. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen multiple times. If you figure out Facebook ads and you know what you're doing, it really is the quickest to scale. So now with Google AdWords, typically this is the most stable. If you're paying for Instagram influencer shoutouts, your sales are going to be dependent on when you're actually doing these shoutouts. So you're going to have your sales essentially be doing this. Facebook ads, there's algorithm changes, problems like that. And so a lot of times you can be going great, 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 and then all of a sudden sales crash because of an algorithm change, something like that. Google AdWords typically, if you figure it out, typically are very, very stable. Now, with that being said, they're typically harder to scale to huge numbers. Now, from my experience and what I've seen with other people, the great thing about AdWords, it can be harder to scale to those massive, massive numbers you see with Facebook ads, but it's fairly simple to get to, a profitable range with AdWords that's going to stay pretty stable. So now I want to go ahead and cover which I think you should go into, my opinions on them, everything like that. So like I mentioned, with Instagram influencers, you're going to have the least stability. Now, with that being said, it can give you your first taste of sales pretty quick if you know what you're doing. But things are different now. Now there are a lot of people that have created Instagram profiles just to scam people out of their money. And so as a beginner, if you don't know what to look for, you don't really know what you're doing with that, I would caution you against influencers. Now, I'm not saying they're not bad. I'm not saying they don't work. They do work still. But you really do need to know what to look for and what you're doing with them. With Facebook ads, there's definitely the algorithm changes that you hear about all the time. Facebook ads are getting more competitive as well. But with that being said, they're still insanely profitable. If you know what you're doing, you figure out how to work them. Like I said, it's typically the most challenging for people. But if you figure out how to actually work Facebook ads, if you follow a great plan, a great strategy with it, whether that's following what I teach or following what someone else who you trust teaches, if you figure out how to do Facebook ads right, one, you're going to go ahead and essentially it will be the cheapest option for you. But then two, you can scale to insane numbers really quickly. And we're going to come back to Facebook ads in a second. But with AdWords, AdWords is a great option. Now with AdWords, I suggest you really, really dive deep, learn AdWords, off on its own. You don't want to go ahead and, be learning Instagram influencers, be learning Facebook ads, be learning AdWords. But I do suggest at some point you learn AdWords. Now, my personal opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't suggest starting with AdWords. I would suggest starting with Facebook ads or even Instagram influencers, but I do suggest at some point definitely going ahead and learning AdWords. Now, what I highly suggest, if I was to go ahead and start all over again from day one, I would definitely do Facebook ads all over again. That's what I started with, and that's what I really heavily teach, and that's what I would definitely start with again. Like I said, the great thing about Facebook ads is, yes, you can go ahead and you can spend a crap ton of money with no results if you don't know what you're doing. If you do know what you're doing, it can be very, very cheap. There's still $5 a day Facebook ad strategies at work, and then what I do for a lot of mine is I start them at $10 a day. So they're still very, very cheap. And then when you find out that a product's decent or winning product and it's actually making you money, those ads are making you money, you can scale to insane numbers very quickly. So I would highly suggest, the question is, should you start with Instagram influencers or Facebook ads? That's the question I get all the time. I highly suggest Facebook ads. Now, there's not necessarily a wrong answer with this. Whichever way you go, the biggest suggestion is you need to dive deep and you need to learn it. What I see too many people do is that they just go ahead, they watch a few YouTube videos and then they jump into it. And then what's happened is they've lost a lot of money because of it. You actually need to go ahead and dive deep, really, really know what you're doing, be meticulous with everything you're doing, and you guys will figure it out. Part of this is trial and error, and then you just need to follow a great, great plan, and you guys will be good to go. But I hope you guys found some value in this video. I wanted to answer that question. It's a question I get all the time. If you found any value, please go ahead and smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'm here for you guys every day to help you grow your businesses to successful numbers. Leave a comment if you've got any questions. I'm going to be answering more and more of the comments I get in actual videos, because I see a lot of the same questions are being asked. So I actually like doing that. It gives me video ideas, so definitely feel free to, you know, leave a video idea or comment down below of any questions you have. But keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.